The twin suns of Zarathus shone across the silver spires of the Aravan royal palace. From a distance, the palace looked like it had been carved from light itself, shimmering with reflections of gold and crystal. Birds, or creatures that resembled birds, flew between the towers, their wings glittering in the sunlight. Below, the city hummed with life. But even amid its activity, there was a calm order that only centuries of tradition could create. Inside the palace, Princess Liara walked through the wide halls with her mind elsewhere. She was 23, the youngest ruler in her family's history to take full authority over the throne, and she carried both the weight and pride of her lineage. Her skin glimmered faintly in the sunlight streaming through the high windows, a natural trait of her people. Her eyes, a bright violet, reflected intelligence, curiosity, and something deeper, a longing to see the world beyond the palace walls. Liara's thoughts were interrupted by the soft echo of footsteps behind her. Turning slightly, she noticed a figure approaching, tall, broad-shouldered, moving with confident precision. He was different from anyone she had ever seen. Not Aravan. Not from Zarathus. A human. His uniform, simple by Aravan standards but sharp and well-fitted, indicated he was a soldier. But there was an air of calm strength about him, something beyond mere training. "Princess Liara," the man said, bowing slightly. "I am Captain Elias Ward, assigned as your guard from Earth." His voice was calm, steady, but there was an energy in his presence that immediately drew attention. It was not arrogance, but quiet confidence, as if he knew his purpose and would not waver. Liara raised an eyebrow, studying him. "A human guard?" she asked, more curious than suspicious. "I must admit, it is unusual to have someone from your planet assigned to me. Do you even know what dangers lie in this palace?" Her tone was calm, but there was a hint of challenge, as if testing him. Elias met her gaze without hesitation. "I have studied the reports, Princess. I understand the political and physical risks of this position. I am prepared for them." He paused, then added with a small, confident smile, "And I do not intend to fail." Liara tilted her head, a faint smile touching her lips. Few beings, alien or otherwise, had ever met her gaze and remained unshaken. Yet something about Elias felt different, not fearless but resolute, not naive but curious. He was human, yet he carried a presence that challenged centuries of Aravan expectations. The first test of that presence came sooner than either of them expected. The palace was a marvel, but even marvels could be dangerous. Liara's father, the late king, had designed the upper halls with hover platforms, delicate walkways suspended, in the air connected by energy fields that shimmered faintly. Normally, Aravan guards moved across them without concern, but a maintenance error had left one platform unstable. Liara, walking alone to meet her council advisors, did not notice the subtle tremor beneath her feet. Elias, walking just a few steps behind, saw the platform wobble. His instincts took over. "Princess!" he shouted, lunging forward. His hands caught her just as the energy field flickered dangerously, preventing a fall that could have been fatal. Liara's heart raced, but she quickly regained composure. "You acted quickly," she said, her voice calm but carrying a note of surprise. "Most of my guards would have hesitated for a fraction of a second too long." She studied him closely, realizing that while humans were often underestimated, Elias possessed something unusual: intuition, the ability to react without waiting for rules or procedures. Elias adjusted his stance, ensuring she was safe. "Instinct, Princess, I learned it the hard way." There was no boast in his voice, only honesty. Liara found herself intrigued. A human who could act decisively in moments of danger. She had not expected that. Over the next few days, Elias began his duties in earnest. He walked beside her in the palace gardens, observing the delicate balance of flora and fauna the Aravans maintained, learning quickly to respect the culture without losing his own sense of purpose. He trained with the palace guards, showing a natural adaptability. Humans were not as strong as Aravans, but Elias compensated with strategy and observation, noticing weaknesses in the drills that Aravans overlooked. His presence quickly became noticed. not always welcome but impossible to ignore. Liara observed him with growing fascination. While others saw humans as fragile and limited, Elias demonstrated that they were clever, determined, and capable of surprising feats. One evening, as the twin suns set, painting the palace gardens in shades of gold and violet, Liara approached him. "You are unlike any human I have read about," she said softly, walking beside him. "You adapt quickly, but more than that, you see things others do not. You think in ways that even my advisors cannot." Elias turned to her, a modest smile on his face. "I do not claim to know everything, Princess. I only try to understand." "And yet you save lives without hesitation," Liara replied. Her voice carried a note of admiration she rarely allowed herself to express. "There is courage in you, and not just the physical kind. You think and then you act, not the other way around." He glanced at her, meeting her gaze. "I serve, Princess. That is my purpose. But I must admit, this is unlike any assignment I have ever had." For the first time, Liara allowed herself a small laugh. "Assignment? This is more than that. Fate brought you here, human. Perhaps it was coincidence, but I sense you were meant to be here." Her words hung in the air, unspoken but powerful. Something in the way she looked at him, and the way he responded, suggested the beginning of a bond that could defy expectations and challenge both human and Aravan norms. The palace itself seemed to sense the change. In the following days, subtle events unfolded. Guards began to notice Elias's insights. Alien engineers saw his solutions to technical problems, and even the palace staff started relying on him in ways they would never have considered with any other outsider. Liara's trust in him grew with each passing moment, her fascination deepening as she realized that while fate had brought Elias to Zarathus, her own choice was shaping the future. One afternoon, an unusual delivery arrived in the palace courtyard. A crate containing rare energy crystals used in Aravan defensive technology. Liara, curious as always, approached to inspect them. Elias, accompanying her, noticed a slight imbalance in the crate's weight. "Princess, step back," he warned, analyzing the crate's position. Before she could respond, the crate shifted, threatening to topple onto her. With reflexes that seemed almost prescient, Elias lunged forward and stabilized it, saving her once again. Liara's eyes widened, but she did not speak immediately. She simply looked at him, her mind racing. "Everywhere I turn, human, you are there," she said finally, a note of awe in her voice. "Not because you must be, but because you choose to act." Elias bowed his head slightly. "I am here to serve, Princess, but I do not act blindly. I act because it is right." In that moment, Liara felt a connection that transcended words. It was not merely gratitude or duty, it was recognition. Recognition that humans, though often underestimated, carried a strength of spirit and mind that even centuries of Aravan superiority could not diminish. Fate had brought Elias to her, but she understood something vital. She had chosen him as well because his courage, intellect, and integrity had earned her trust. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the palace, Liara and Elias walked through the gardens, side by side. The world beyond the palace walls was vast and unknown, full of challenges and wonders alike. And together, human and princess, they were ready to face it. Little did they know, this was only the beginning. Political intrigue, rival factions, and dangers unseen would soon test their courage and bond. But in that quiet moment, the palace of Zarathus felt less like a gilded cage, and more like the beginning of something extraordinary, a partnership that could change the fate of two worlds. And somewhere deep within Liara's mind, a quiet truth took root. Fate may bring people together, but it is choice and courage that define the path forward. The palace of Zarathus glimmered in the morning light, a magnificent structure that towered over the bustling city below. The twin suns shone brightly, yet shadows lurked in the halls, hidden in corners where only those who understood power could see them. Princess Liara walked among the columns, her violet eyes scanning the grand tapestries depicting the history of her people. Each thread told a story of triumph, intelligence, and rule. But for all the beauty and order, she sensed the undercurrent of tension, a tension that could threaten everything she had fought to protect. Captain Elias Ward, the human guard, walked beside her. Despite his human origins, he had adapted quickly to the palace and its customs. He observed everything with sharp eyes, learning the subtle ways in which the Arivans interacted with one another. Elias had already demonstrated his courage and quick thinking, earning Liara's trust, but here, in the heart of political power, courage alone might not be enough. "Princess," Elias said, his voice low, "I sense unease among the council members. They watch me as if I am a threat." Liara nodded slightly, her expression calm but resolute. "You are an outsider. Many of my people will not understand your presence. Some see humans as unpredictable, others as weak. Both are mistakes." She stopped and turned to him, her gaze steady. "But you, Elias, have shown them that humans are not just capable. You are extraordinary." He glanced at her, feeling both pride and responsibility. "I do not want to cause trouble, Princess. I only wish to serve, and you do," she said softly. "But sometimes serving is not enough. You must also prove your wisdom. That wisdom would be tested sooner than expected." The Aravan Council gathered later that day, a group of elders and nobles who wielded influence over the princess and the realm. They were a mixture of age, experience, and political ambition. Most were respectful, but a few held open suspicion toward Elias. The council chamber was grand, with high ceilings and walls that reflected soft violet light. Holographic maps floated above the center table, showing the entire planet and nearby star systems. Liara stepped forward, her posture confident. "Counselors," she began, her voice clear and commanding, "we welcome Captain Elias Ward as my appointed human guard. His presence is not a threat to Zarathus, but an opportunity. Humans have skills and insights that even we, with all our advancements, may overlook." A murmur ran through the council. One noble, a tall Aravan with piercing green eyes named Theron, leaned forward. "Princess, with all respect, humans are fragile. They cannot match our speed, our strength, or our psychic abilities. Are you certain this is wise?" Liara met his gaze evenly. "Fragile, perhaps. But capable? Absolutely. Captain Ward has already proven himself in ways that many of you have not. I expect you to judge him by his actions, not by old prejudices." Theron's lips tightened and he said nothing more, though the tension in the room was palpable. Elias, however, remained calm, analyzing the council members with quiet focus. He had learned early in his training that intelligence and observation often mattered more than physical strength in situations like this. Days passed, and subtle challenges began to emerge. Theron and a few allies started spreading rumors among the palace staff, questioning Elias's loyalty and skills. Liara noticed the whispers, the sidelong glances, and the careful avoidance of her human guard. She understood the subtle games of politics. It was a world of influence, fear, and ambition. But she also saw opportunity. Humans had something many Aravans lacked, the ability to see problems clearly without being bound by tradition. One evening, as the twin suns dipped low and painted the palace gardens in gold and violet, Liara approached Elias. He was observing the movement of palace guards along the perimeter, taking notes mentally of patrol patterns and security weaknesses. "You notice everything," she said quietly. Stepping beside him, he looked at her, his expression serious. "It's part of the job, Princess. But I also noticed the small tensions in the palace. Some are more dangerous than any external threat." Liara nodded. "You mean the council?" "Yes," he said. "Not all of them are loyal to your safety. Some see your trust in me as a weakness, something to exploit." Liara's eyes narrowed. "Then we will show them otherwise. But I need your counsel, Elias. Not just your strength." He smiled faintly, understanding the weight of her words. "You have it, Princess. Humans think differently, yes, but that is exactly why we can help." The next day, the palace was shaken by an unusual event. A group of engineers responsible for the maintenance of the energy shields reported an anomaly in the northern sector. The shields, vital to the palace's protection, were fluctuating unpredictably. Most Aravans would have assumed a minor technical fault, but Elias's human intuition suggested sabotage. "Princess," he said urgently, "this could be more than a fault. Someone might be trying to undermine your defenses." Liara's violet eyes widened slightly. "Sabotage? In the palace?" He nodded. "I recommend immediate investigation, and I must be allowed to assist." Liara turned to the head of the engineers, an elder Aravan named Corin. "Allow Captain Ward access," she commanded. "He will work with you." Reluctantly, Corin agreed. Elias moved quickly, examining the equipment, noting patterns that suggested deliberate tampering. It was subtle, small adjustments to energy flow that could have gone unnoticed, but his human perspective allowed him to spot the anomaly immediately. Within hours, the threat was neutralized and the palace shields were restored. Word of Elias's insight spread quickly. Even Theron and his allies had to acknowledge that the human guard had prevented a potential disaster. Yet they remained cautious, unwilling to relinquish their doubts entirely. Liara, however, was unshakable. That evening, she found Elias alone in the gardens reviewing patrol strategies. "You have proven more than courage," she said softly. "You have shown wisdom and foresight. Most humans would have hesitated or ignored the signs entirely. But you acted, and that saved lives." Elias shook his head modestly. "I only did what I could. But the palace is fortunate to have your leadership, Princess. Your presence commands attention. I simply assist where I can." Liara's lips curved into a small smile. "Fate brought you here, human. But it is my choice to trust you, to work with you. That choice matters more than destiny itself." For a moment, silence passed between them. It was a quiet, almost sacred understanding. She could sense that humans, unlike the Aravans who often relied on centuries of tradition and psychic ability, had an ability to choose, to act based on reason, courage, and conscience. And that choice, that human trait, was a force more powerful than any psychic skill. Over the following weeks, Elias continued to demonstrate his value in subtle ways. He noticed patterns in supply deliveries, optimized guard rotations, and helped Liara devise strategies to strengthen alliances with neighboring planets. The Council, once skeptical, began to observe his contributions, though some, like Theron, still harbored private resentment. Liara also began to understand something deeper. Elias was not only a capable guard, but a companion of thought. He questioned assumptions politely, offered suggestions without arrogance, and challenged tradition when necessary. She found herself discussing matters of leadership, justice, and strategy with him late into the night, often forgetting that he was human. One evening, as a soft violet mist settled over the gardens, Liara turned to him and said, "You see the world differently, human, and yet you understand my people better than most. That is a rare gift." Elias looked at her with calm determination. "I do not claim to understand everything, Princess, but I observe, learn, and act, and I will always act to protect you." Liara's heart lifted slightly. It was more than the recognition of skill. It was trust, respect, and the subtle beginnings of friendship that could become something more profound. She knew challenges lay ahead, political intrigue, rivals, and dangers beyond the palace walls. But for the first time, she felt confident that with Elias by her side, she could face them all. As the twin suns disappeared behind the horizon, casting long shadows across the palace, Liara and Elias walked through the gardens side by side. The city below shimmered with lights, a reflection of the world's possibilities and dangers. And while the council and palace factions plotted in shadows, two unlikely allies, human and princess, stood united, ready to face whatever threats might come next. Fate had brought them together. Yes, but choice, courage, and understanding had made their bond unbreakable. And in a world where shadows threatened even the brightest light, that bond would be tested in ways neither could yet imagine. The twin suns of Zirathus were high in the sky, shining fiercely over the palace city, when the first warning alarms sounded. Bright red lights flashed across the corridors, and the distant hum of the city's defense systems intensified. Princess Liara, studying a star map in the strategy room, immediately sensed that something was wrong. She glanced at Elias Ward, who had been reviewing the security protocols with the palace engineers. "What is it?" she asked, rising to her feet. Elias's expression was serious. "There's a breach in the northern perimeter. It's not a small group, too coordinated for ordinary thieves or rebels. They know our layout, our weaknesses." Liara's violet eyes narrowed. "Then it is an attack. Gather the guards. We must defend the palace."
"And Elias?"
She hesitated for just a moment. "Stay with me. I will not let them use me as a pawn." Elias nodded, gripping his sidearm and moving quickly to coordinate with the palace guards. Despite being human, he moved with confidence that inspired the Aravans. His orders were precise, efficient, and unexpected, strategies that relied not on brute strength or psychic abilities, but on human ingenuity and rapid decision-making. The guards, initially skeptical of following a human, now saw the advantage of his perspective. Within minutes, the attackers appeared at the northern gates. They were a rogue faction, heavily armed, using energy disruptors and gravity-altering weapons to destabilize the palace defenses. Their goal was clear: capture Princess Liara and force political concessions. Liara's pulse quickened, but she did not falter. She followed Elias to the control chamber, where he immediately assessed the situation. "We cannot hold them all here," he said. "I suggest we split forces, some with me to contain the attackers, while you move to the inner sanctuary with the safest route. But I will not leave you." "No," Liara said firmly. "We face this together. If they take me, they will demoralize the entire city. I will not hide." Elias paused, studying her carefully. "You are brave, sometimes too brave, but I will stand by your side." The first clash was intense. Energy beams streaked across the sky as the rogue faction advanced, while palace guards responded with precision and skill. Elias moved among the defenders like a force of nature. He guided Eravans with unfamiliar tactics, using their own weapons in innovative ways, creating defensive formations they had never considered. His humanity, his ability to improvise and adapt, turned the tide in moments when the attackers thought they had the advantage. Liara, meanwhile, moved with purpose through the palace halls. Her psychic abilities allowed her to sense danger and predict enemy movements, but even her skills were challenged by the attackers' technological disruptions. She relied on Elias's guidance, trusting his observations and suggestions. In moments of crisis, they worked as a seamless team, human and alien instincts complementing each other. At one point, the attackers breached a secondary gate leading directly to the royal wing. Liara and Elias stood at the threshold, the chaos of battle echoing around them. "Princess, to your left," Elias shouted, diving to intercept an enemy who had slipped past the guards. His human reflexes were astonishing, dodging an energy strike and knocking the assailant back with a force unexpected for his size. Liara's violet eyes widened. "You are remarkable," she muttered under her breath, moving past him to secure the hallways. But the danger was far from over. The rogue faction's leader, a cunning Eravan exile named Zorath, had anticipated their moves. He appeared on a higher balcony, using a gravity manipulator to launch heavy objects down toward the palace defenders. Liara and Elias had to act quickly. "Princess, follow my lead," Elias yelled, grabbing a nearby control panel. He rerouted the energy barriers, creating a temporary shield that blocked Zorath's attack. Liara used her psychic abilities to amplify the effect, focusing her energy to stabilize the shields. Together, human ingenuity and alien power formed an unexpected but formidable combination. The battle escalated as more attackers poured in. Some were skilled warriors. Others used advanced technology designed to outmatch Eravan defenses. But Elias's human strategies and quick thinking allowed them to respond in ways the attackers did not anticipate. He coordinated hit-and-run tactics, ambushes, and clever use of the palace environment. The defenders gained confidence, rallying behind the human who refused to retreat. At one critical moment, Liara found herself trapped on a balcony as the floor beneath her began to crack from an enemy's energy blast. She froze for just a second, feeling the panic that threatened to cloud her judgment. "Princess," Elias shouted. Without hesitation, he lunged across the unstable surface, catching her in his arms just as the floor collapsed. They landed safely on solid ground below, both slightly shaken but unharmed. Liara looked at him, her heart pounding, and realized how much she depended on his courage and quick thinking. "You are fearless," she said softly, her voice carrying awe and gratitude. "I only do what must be done," Elias replied. "Fear is natural, but action is stronger." As the battle continued, they discovered Zorath's true plan. He aimed to reach the central control hub of the palace, a location that could give him complete control over the city's defenses. If successful, the palace would fall and Liara's leadership would be shattered. Elias quickly devised a plan. "We split into 2 teams, he said to Liara. "I will lead a strike team to intercept Zorath. You focus on protecting the palace core. Our timing must be perfect." Liara nodded. "Agreed. Let's move." The strike team moved with precision, Human and Aravan coordination at its finest. Elias led the charge using tactics that combined human intuition with Aravan technology. They navigated the palace corridors with stealth and speed, outmaneuvering the rogue faction at every turn. When they reached Zorath, he was prepared, wielding a combination of psychic powers and technological devices. Elias acted quickly, exploiting a small flaw in Zorath's equipment that only a human perspective might notice. With Liara's psychic support from a distance, Zorath was disarmed and captured, his plan thwarted. Back in the palace core, Liara stabilized the energy systems, her psychic focus amplified by Elias's guidance. Together they had prevented catastrophe. Guards and staff looked on with admiration, realizing that humans could indeed stand shoulder to shoulder with Aravans in moments of extreme danger. As the sun set and calm returned to the palace, Liara and Elias stood together in the courtyard, surveying the damage and the recovering city below. "You saved the palace," Liara said, her voice soft but firm, "not just with strength but with intelligence and courage." "I cannot overstate what that means." Elias shook his head. "We saved it together, Princess. You guided me as much as I guided you. Human or Aravan, it was our teamwork that made the difference." Liara's gaze lingered on him. For the first time she felt a deep sense of respect and connection, not just because of his skills but because of his character. Fate may have brought him to Zarathus, but it was her choice to trust him, to fight alongside him, and that choice, she realized, was as vital as any destiny. The people of Zarathus would remember this day, not only for the bravery of their defenders, but for the human who had proven that courage and ingenuity were universal traits, not bound by species. As the stars began to appear in the violet sky, Liara turned to Elias. "I hope you understand something, human. Fate may have brought you here, but I chose you first. Your presence, your courage, your wisdom, they are my choice, not the universe's." Elias met her gaze, understanding the depth of her words. "And I choose to stand by you, Princess. Whatever comes next, I will face it with you." For a brief moment, they simply stood together, two beings from different worlds united by trust, courage, and choice. The trial of the day had tested them beyond measure, and they had emerged stronger, not only as allies but as companions who could face any threat. The twin suns had set, leaving the palace bathed in soft violet moonlight. Tomorrow new challenges would arise, political intrigues, hidden enemies, and threats yet unseen, but for now, Liara and Elias had proven that courage, ingenuity, and the bonds of trust could overcome even the most formidable odds. And in that quiet moment, the princess understood something vital. The strength of a human heart, combined with the power of an Aravan mind, could shape destiny in ways no force in the universe could predict. The palace of Zarathus was calm again, though the echo of recent chaos lingered in the halls. Guards patrolled with quiet vigilance and engineers inspected the repaired energy shields. Yet beneath this calm, the undercurrents of political tension remained. Some council members still whispered about Captain Elias Ward, questioning the human's loyalty and abilities. Princess Liara walked along the palace gardens, her thoughts heavy. The attack had shown that humans could be brave and intelligent, but that did not mean all of her people would accept Elias. She knew that trust, especially interspecies trust, had to be earned over time, through action, patience, and choice. Elias walked beside her, observing the garden's unique flora, adapted to the twin suns of Zarathus. Despite the recent battle, he moved with calm focus, ready for any threat that might arise. "Princess," he said, breaking the silence, "the council is still wary. Some nobles may try to undermine your decisions by questioning my presence." Liara sighed. "I know, human, and I will not let them weaken us. But it is delicate. We must protect the palace and maintain our alliances. Politics here is as dangerous as any battlefield." Elias nodded. "Then we will face it as we did before, together." Later that day, Liara convened a private council meeting. Only a few trusted members were present, those who had seen Elias's abilities firsthand. She spoke with clarity and authority, explaining that humans were not merely outsiders but valuable allies whose perspective could strengthen Zarathus. One council member, an elder named Corin, finally spoke. "Princess, the recent events have proven that Captain Ward's instincts saved lives. Perhaps humans have qualities we have underestimated?" Liara nodded. "Exactly. Courage, intelligence, and adaptability are not limited to Aravans. Captain Ward embodies these traits. I trust him, and I expect the Council to do the same. Theron, the jealous noble who had opposed Elias before, remained silent, his eyes narrow and calculating. Liara knew his ambitions were not easily quelled. She would need Elias's help to navigate the subtle dangers he posed. That evening, in a quiet corner of the palace, Liara turned to Elias. "I want you to understand something. Human," she said softly, her violet eyes reflecting the twin moons. "Fate may have brought you to Zarathus, but I chose you first. Your presence here is my decision, not destiny's." Elias's expression softened. "And I choose to serve you, Princess. Not because I must, but because I wish to protect you and your people. Choice matters more than fate." A bond of trust had formed between them, stronger than words could express. But this trust would soon face new challenges, ones that would test their judgment, loyalty, and hearts. A few days later, a diplomatic envoy arrived from a neighboring planet, seeking trade agreements and mutual protection. Among them were species unfamiliar to both humans and Eravans, their motives veiled behind polite words and courteous gestures. Liara welcomed them with grace, but Elias sensed something unusual. Subtle patterns in their behavior, the careful avoidance of certain questions hinted at a hidden agenda. He shared his observations with Liara. "They are hiding something. Not outright hostile yet, but cautious. Watch the way they respond to unexpected questions. They fear exposure." Liara nodded, appreciating his insight. "We will proceed carefully. Your perspective continues to reveal what my people might miss." During the formal dinner, the diplomats attempted to subtly discredit Elias, implying that humans could not be trusted with matters of state. Whispers rippled through the hall, and some nobles tried to reinforce these doubts. Liara's response was decisive. "Captain Ward has proven his loyalty and wisdom. I will not allow prejudice to cloud judgment. Every individual, human or Aravan, will be judged by their actions, not by tradition or fear." The room fell silent. Even Theron's defiance weakened in the face of the princess's clear authority and Elias's calm presence. The human had become more than a soldier. He was a symbol of reason, courage, and choice, qualities that transcended species. Later that night, Liara and Elias reviewed the diplomatic documents in the private strategy room. Their discussions were candid, filled with mutual respect. Liara asked questions, Elias provided insights, and together they crafted strategies that balanced diplomacy, security, and morality. "You think like a human," Liara said at one point, a small smile playing on her lips. "You see possibilities that I might overlook, constrained by tradition." "And you think like a princess," Elias replied with a grin. "You balance power, responsibility, and empathy. Together we cover more ground than either of us alone." Their partnership had grown beyond necessity. It was built on trust, respect, and the recognition that both human and Aravan strengths were needed to navigate a complex world. However, shadows remained. Theron and his allies were not defeated. They only waited for the right moment. And the neighboring diplomats, though outwardly polite, continued to conceal their intentions. The real test of Liara and Elias's bond and strategy was yet to come, a challenge that would demand not only courage but also moral clarity, quick thinking, and absolute trust in one another. As the twin moons rose high, casting silver light across the palace gardens, Liara and Elias stood together side by side. The air was calm, but the future was uncertain. One thing was clear: the bond of choice and trust they had forged would be their greatest weapon in the days ahead. The twin suns of Zarathus had barely risen when an urgent message arrived from the outer sectors. Scouts had detected a fleet approaching the planet, advanced warships, sleek and formidable, unlike any the Eravans had encountered before. Liara's heart tightened, but she did not falter. She looked at Elias, who had already begun assessing the situation. "They're coming faster than expected," Elias said. "And their formation, they are coordinated, not random raiders," Liara nodded. "Then we prepare. Every resource, every strategy. We will protect Zarathus." The palace mobilized quickly. Aravan defense systems hummed to life, and the city's guardians took their positions. Yet even with all this, Elias's human perspective was invaluable. He suggested tactics that leveraged human unpredictability, creating diversions and ambushes that the enemy did not anticipate. The attack began near the northern sector, but the fleet was vast, moving with precision and intent. Liara and Elias coordinated the defense from the palace command center. Energy shields flared, missiles streaked across the sky, and the first wave of enemy ships faltered under the combined ingenuity of human and Aravan tactics. As the battle raged, Liara sensed a psychic disturbance, a hidden fleet using stealth technology, moving to bypass the city defenses and strike directly at the palace. "Princess, they are aiming for the palace," Elias warned. "We need to split forces. I will lead a counterstrike to intercept the stealth ships." Liara shook her head. "No, we face this together. I will not leave the palace unprotected." Elias studied her, admiration and respect in his eyes. "Very well. Then we do this together." They moved through the city, coordinating defenders, intercepting enemy infiltrators, and rallying the Aravan forces. Elias's human ingenuity shone as he devised strategies on the spot, using the city's layout to create choke points and safe passages. Liara amplified the defenses with her psychic powers, sensing enemy movements and guiding troops in real time. At one critical moment, a stealth ship breached the palace perimeter, dropping a powerful energy bomb near the royal wing. Liara froze for a split second, but Elias reacted instantly. He leapt forward, redirecting the energy with a combination of human technology and quick thinking, while Liara stabilized the shields with her psychic energy. The bomb detonated harmlessly above them, a brilliant explosion of light that illuminated the city. "You saved the palace," Liara said breathlessly, her violet eyes shining. "No," Elias replied, shaking his head. "We saved it together." The battle continued for hours. Enemy ships fell one by one, outmaneuvered by the combination of human tactics and Aravan power. Finally, the fleet, recognizing defeat, retreated toward the outer systems. The skies of Zarathus cleared, leaving the city victorious but weary. The people of Zarathus emerged from their homes and shelters, cheering for their princess and her allies. Among them, humans and Aravans alike celebrated the victory, inspired by the courage, intelligence, and trust that had saved their world. Liara walked with Elias through the courtyard, their footsteps echoing against the stone paths. "You have proven yourself human," she said softly, "not only in battle but in wisdom, courage, and character. You have earned the respect of my people and the trust of their princess." Elias smiled. "And you have shown that trust and choice matter more than destiny. That is why I stand by your side." Theron, the jealous noble, approached quietly. His usual arrogance had faded, replaced by reluctant respect. "Princess," he said, "I was wrong to doubt your judgment. Captain Ward is remarkable. I will support him and you as you lead Zarathus into the future." Liara inclined her head. "Thank you, Theron. Let this be a new beginning." The victory brought more than safety. It brought the recognition that humans, though often underestimated, could stand alongside advanced alien civilizations and make a difference. It was a moment that resonated throughout the galaxy, a testament to courage, adaptability, and moral choice. As night fell and the twin moons rose high, Liara and Elias stood on the palace balcony, gazing at the stars. The city,